Today, we are on lesson 14.4, looking for structure. I'm starting on page 751 in your math book. Let's do the solve and share together. Evan's baby brother is stacking blocks. Using the rule, add 1 block to the number of blocks in the previous stack. How many blocks will be in the 6th stack? And then you need to explain and justify your answer. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out how many blocks will be in the 6th stack. Remember, you can use patterns to help solve problems, and the rule is add 1. Okay, now that you had time to pause, I'm going to show you a strategy that I use to solve it. So I kind of made myself a little table. So in my table, I know that the rule is add 1. So I'm going to put plus 1 on the top. Then I'm going to divide this into little sections. So for the first pattern that they have, there are 6 blocks. So for the first pattern, there are 6 blocks. For the second pattern, there are 7. For the third pattern, there are 8. So if the pattern continues, we have 4, 5, and 6. I'm just going to add 1 more each time. Now, if I analyze the pattern, to get from this number to this number, I'm always adding 5 more. Because 1 plus 5 is 6, 2 plus 5 is 7, 3 plus 5 is 8, and so on. So when I get to the 6th stack, I can just add 5 and know that it is 11. So I'm using that pattern. Now, if I look at the bottom over here, it says, how many blocks are in the 10th stack? Explain. Well, if I continue with adding 5 to each stack, then in the 10th stack, if I add 5 more, so I'm in the 10th stack, I'm going to add 5 more, there's going to be 15 blocks because I'm adding 5 each time. That's all I'm doing for this pattern. Okay, how can I look for and make use of structure? Alyssa made 3 walls with cubes. She recorded her pattern. If she continues the pattern, we want to find out how many cubes will be in the 10th layer wall and on the 100 layer wall. Now, if we look at the pattern on the right, make sure that you're looking at the rule as well. And the rule is each layer has 4 cubes. So in layer 1, we're going to have 4 cubes. In layer 2, we're going to have 8 cubes. In layer 3, we're going to have 12 cubes. We want to find out how much will be in 10 and 100. Now, looking at the pattern, I'm always going to look and see how do I get from this first number to the second number. And I can see that I'm multiplying by 4 because 1 times 4 is 4. Sorry, my stylus kind of wrote a little arrow over the 4. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 4 is 12. So, what do you need to do to find the number of cubes in a 10 layer and a 100 layer wall? Well, thinking about what I just did, I need to continue the pattern and just multiply by 4. So, let's look down here. Here are some strategies that how you can use structure to solve a problem. You can look for and describe patterns in 3-dimensional shapes. You can use the rule that describes how objects or values in a pattern are related, and you can use features of a pattern not stated in the rule to generate or extend the pattern. So if I look at my pattern, I have for 1 layer, I have 4 cubes. For 2, I have 8. For 3, I have 12. 4, 16, 5, 20. We're just multiplying by 4 each time. So in a 10-layer wall, you're just going to do 10 times 4, which is going to be 40. And in a 100-layer wall, you're going to do 100 times 4, which is going to be 400. Guided practice. We're still using structure. Leah arranged triangular tiles in a pattern like the one shown. She used the rule, multiply the number of rows by itself to get the number of small triangles. How many small triangles would be in a pattern if there were 10 rows? So this rule is a little bit different. It says multiply the number of rows by itself to get the number of small triangles. And it gives you an example. So for 1 row, you're going to do 1 times 1. For 2 rows, you're going to do 2 times 2. For 3 rows, you're going to do 3 times 3. So we need to complete the table to describe the pattern. So for 1 row, we're going to have 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. 2 rows, we're going to have 4 because 2 times 2 is 4. 3 rows, 3 times 3 is 9. Well, 4 times 4 would be 16. And 5 times 5 would be 25. Okay, so describe the pattern another way. Another way I would describe this pattern is that we're using square numbers because we're just multiplying a number by itself. And if you remember from calendar, if we take a number and we put a little square on it, that doesn't mean 5 times 2. That means 5 times 5. So any number times itself would be that number squared. So how many triangles, sorry I didn't highlight, how many triangles would be in 10 rows? So in 10 rows, we're just going to do 10. Sorry, that one's hard to see. I'll switch it for you. We're going to do 10 times 10, which we're going to get 100 small triangles. Okay, I would like for you to try the independent practice. Do the independent practice on page 753 and see if you can do the problem on page 754. I'm going to upload the PDFs and then you can either take a picture of your math book and email it to me, or you can edit the PDF using DocCup, whatever's easiest for you. All right, I hope you have a great day and I will see you soon at our Zoom meeting.